You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I am Steven Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and we are joined by Ole Miss legend. I'm going to say that, Ole Miss legend, Tim Thomas. He played on the 1981 SEC tournament champion team. The first NCAA appearance by Ole Miss men's basketball. Tim Thomas was a part of it. How you doing, Tim?
I was there. I was part of it. I'm definitely not a legend, but I'm okay with that. Just so happy about the game last night.
Oh, it was a fantastic game. You know, when the game started, I'm sitting here watching this game, and it's like, hey, you know, anytime you can play on the road, it's going to be a really hard hill to climb in this conference. And then Ole Miss started out down 11-1, and you're like, oh my goodness, because you know I had seen what Tennessee did in Florida the night before, and it's like, oh, is this going to happen? Is this going to be one of those games? And then Ole Miss just kind of just whittled away, got to even at halftime, and in the second half they just absolutely dominated.
Yeah, as Beard said, it was round 2 of an 18-round fight. And guys, we're 2-0 in the SEC, and we've talked about only needing 8, possibly wins, so we're in good shape. Ken Palm already jumped on the bandwagon. They're saying maybe 10 and 8 going in the way things are. That's a computer. That's all you got there. But 22 and 10 can't determine. So Ken Palm jumped on the bandwagon. The net's around in the 20s. So we're looking good. We just got to take care of business. Really proud of this team. Like you said, they were behind and came back strong. They played tough, I'll tell you. I think they heard our loom a few weeks ago. We were hitting them pretty hard, man. Like you hit I ain't going to say about what you said about Lane Kiffin. But it was a very good game. I enjoyed it. Malik Dia showed out. He is a mismatch. They have trouble guarding a guy. Mismatch. I knew I could say it. Yeah, he could shoot outside the flat-footed free throw 3. If it goes in, and he can hit the mid-range, he can go inside. He can really good moves inside, and he's got a fadeaway that he likes that sometimes goes in. But I was really proud of him without Brown Jones being there. I heard he had a concussion from the previous game. I saw him fall. I saw where he fell back on his head, but hopefully we'll have him back for LSU. But everybody came through. Murray didn't score a lot of points. Juju, one of his better games. Great on 6 assists, couple of turnovers, a very good game. He got the ball to who needed to get to, and Abdullah played his game, consistent game, a strong game, and Dre Davis came back. Even though Brakefield and Morrell didn't score a whole lot of points, but they did well. And I want to say great job by Brakefield, the Georgia game. He really came through and made me look bad. I'm glad he did.
Yeah, and, you know, we talked about rebounding and, you know, even talked about how this team had the ability to play soft. And ever since then, they've just been absolutely physical down on the low block. And Malik Dia had one of the more explosive dunks that I've ever seen an Ole Miss player have in that Arkansas game.
Yeah, it was very nice. He's really talented. He started off at Vanderbilt, went to Belmont, and Beard saw that. He saw his he could score in so different many ways. It still troubles me about the 3 way he's flat-footed on the 3, but I'll get over if he keeps hitting them. But he's a really good player. Rebounds well when he wants to. He can really get in there, jumps really well. Dre Davis had like 6 rebounds, and the guards came through. They got a rebound too. The guards, all these 3-point shots we talked about the other teams. We got to get the long rebounds. We have to go corral them, get on the floor if we need to. Yeah, I think they saw us for sure when I called them soft, but they really have played well. I think +1 both SEC games, and this game against LSU, we should win it too.
It's gotten to the point. I had a crossover with the Locked On Razorbacks host before the Arkansas game, and we were sitting there talking about the game and everything, and he mentioned Ole Miss rebounding, and I just flat out said this: if Ole Miss out rebounds your team, you're going to lose the game, and I don't care who is playing against Ole Miss there. If Ole Miss out rebounds you, you're going to lose the game.
Yeah, the SEC network talked about Mark Adams. That's the big part of this rebounding thing. He came in, assistant coach. He's really good with his no-middle defense to keep them out of the paint. That's the idea. Keep them on the sides, make them uncomfortable, good outside, good rotations, and they're doing it right now. They're really playing well right now when they want to. The second half seemed like he rested a lot of them. The first half, you might have noticed Bowl played some, and Klafke, I like that kid. He hit a nice three there. And Bowl didn't play but like 4 minutes, but he had a great block towards the end of the first half that made a difference. All these plays make a difference. I was proud of all these guys, and we're looking good right now. It's going to be tough. Hopefully we'll beat LSU, but then in the following week, we're away at Alabama and away at Mississippi State, so that's going to be a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, if Ole Miss gets through LSU and gets their third win, we always talk about how it's a race to 8. It's a race to 8. You have 5 wins that you have to get out of, 15 games at that point? If you finish –
there's 18 total.
Yeah, so you have a good chance because Alabama's still on the schedule. You got to play Auburn twice, and Auburn might be the best SEC team that I've seen in quite some time.
Also in the nation.
Yes.
They're really good. They'll be rated number 1, no doubt.
Yeah, and Florida is the last game of the year before the SEC tournament, and Tennessee's on the schedule. So all of these heavyweights, they're sitting there on the schedule. You have to win these games. You get A&M, you get Texas at home, you get Oklahoma at home. It's going to be difficult games, but you have to win that game. And I think that is what is setting this conference apart at the moment.
Yeah, those top 4 or 5. We're not in the top 4 or 5, but we found out that Florida is. Florida, beat Tennessee very bad. Of course, he was in Gainesville. That's a big difference. We talk about this home, and I think the bookies, the bettors at Las Vegas says 3 to 5 points for a home team. I played, guys. It's about 10 points. I'm telling you, at home, if you got a crowd like the Pavilion can get at times, and I hopefully will this Saturday, it's 10 points. Before the game starts, Ole Miss 10-0 over LSU. If you got a big crowd, hopefully they're there. I heard there's some snow flurries coming, but you got a 10-point lead before the game starts.
It's not snow flurries coming. It's like I heard like 7 inches of snow, and if that happens, Mississippi might get shut down for like 2 weeks.
And then it comes right across to where I live in Decatur. I'm right there east of Oxford, so we'll see what happens. The Lord's in control.
All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We'll come back with Tim Thomas and move our attention to the LSU Tigers right after this. All right. So this is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Are you tired of the endless waitings, wondering, and worrying about your taxes? Well, now that is a thing of the past. You see, taxes don't need to be complicated or stressful. TurboTax is here to change the game by matching you with a TurboTax expert who can get to work on your return right away. No more waiting for answers. No more wondering if you're missing out on deductions. Whether you've got one form or 20, TurboTax experts gives you their undivided attention while getting you real-time updates on their progress. So focus on what really matters. You won't have to lift a finger, but you'll get the peace of mind knowing that your taxes are being handled by the pros. So ready for a stress-free tax experience, the most money back guaranteed? Head on over to TurboTax.com today and get matched with your expert who's ready to take your taxes off of your plate so you can focus on your day. It's only available with TurboTax Live's full service real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guaranteed. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need to place live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Go online and find out if Ole Miss is going to be favored against the LSU Tigers as the Rebels look to start 3-0 in the SEC this year. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So we are back with Tim Thomas coming in. I took you off the screen. There's not that awkward thing of just sitting around, Tim. I kind of like this little new system that's being developed right here as well. And Ole Miss has the LSU Tigers this weekend, shortly after a snowstorm, which is supposed to hit Thursday night. So we'll see how that handles and how it's going to affect attendance and all of that stuff. But this is a game that if Ole Miss wants to be special, if Ole Miss wants to be different than they have recently been, this is an absolute must-win basketball game.
Yeah, LSU, they're haven't won a game yet. They're 0-2. They lost to a couple games, lost to Missouri Thursday night and lost at home against Vandy last Saturday, that's not a good sign, not a good sight, but they have talented players. Coached by Matt Beckmahan. He came over from Murray State, brought a lot of the players there from Murray State with him to LSU. They hadn't been real successful so far, but we'll see. They're capable, so we got to be ready. We go up there and big win there. You got to get your feet back on the ground. You got to get your head right and get focused. And I believe Beer can do that. He's been a little more vocal these days. I noticed on the sideline, I saw him get up in a couple of players' faces and kind of little wake-up call, and it worked. I saw him do it with Dia one time, and you tell it's really working. You got to be, if you're going to be a great player, special team, you got to be willing to be coached. You got to be willing to be yelled at a little bit, someone raise their voice and kind of get your blood flowing a little bit and say, hey, he's right. Let's do better. And they've done it on the rebounding. We know that 1 week after the Memphis game, we talked about it. They had to get something going. It had to be corrected. And so right now, with the teams that we've been playing, it's been corrected. But LSU's good. They have a guy, Cam Carter, really good player, their best player. They have another guy, I think it's Jordan Sears. Yeah, got that right. He's the second leading scorer. So they're decent, but we should beat them. Not any issues if we play well, but we got to get our head right, get focused, and be in the game, bring our A game, and hopefully have a decent crowd if people are not out throwing snowballs.
And I think Ole Miss fans need to realize also this Ole Miss basketball team, I think you've only seen about 75% of what this team is actually capable of this season.
Yeah, we got it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like Brakefield had 3 yesterday. Saturday he played out of his mind. A great game. And Malik Dia came in, played well. And Morel still coming around. And a couple shots last night, a couple threes. You could see he's coming. So we need him to do anything special. We got to have Morel. Padula's doing his thing. And Juju, he's not starting. He was one of those changes we talked about a few weeks ago. He's not starting. Barnes is starting. And Barnes is a lot better rebounder. And Barnes is consistent. He's not a great player. He's not a great shooter, but he'll hit one every now and then. He hit one last night. It was big. But we got a good Brown Jones. Hopefully he comes back, helps inside. And like I said, John Bowl, I believe they're going to give him more minutes. He came in and done well. He didn't make any mistakes, got a good block, played good defense. He's learning. He's excited. He likes the crowd likes him. The players like him. And Flaherty came in, and Flaherty plays great defense, tough defense. He might foul once in a while. That's okay. And he plays defense well and shoots the three. So we got a good thing going. We got to get to LSU. I don't see where there'll be a big problem. Ken Palm has us beating them pretty easy. So I feel like we're okay. We'll just see what happens.
There's a saying in soccer, and it's kind of applicable, I think, here. And it's like you can't have a team full of piano players. You got to have some piano carriers, piano movers on your team as well. And I think Davin Barnes might be that guy playing that old Jason Smith role of just kind of doing the dirty work and kind of letting everything kind of coalesce around him instead of having all of these shooters and scorers and flash type players. You honestly just needed a workman on the court as well that can do a little bit of the other stuff.
Yeah, he plays hard. That's why Beard likes him. That's why he's starting him right now. He plays hard. He rebounds well for a guard. He gets his nose in there and really plays tough. He blocks out. He makes the extra effort. He gets on the floor, and that's what you're talking about. He's that guy. That's what we need. And for right now, I like our lineup. I like the way it's looking. Any night, one guy might step up and get 20. We got a lot of score. I think we got 7 guys that has over 1,000 points in their careers, and that's good. And that's what Beer's looking for. He's looking for 50% field goal percentage. He's looking for 40% three-point percentage and looking for 80% on the free throws. If we can get that on a regular basis, somewhere near that, we're in good shape.
You know, I think they flashed up during the broadcast that other than Arkansas, the SEC team that has won the most at Bud Walton Arena is Ole Miss. They passed Kentucky with that win.
I saw we had one up there actually since 2015, but I know in the past, I know Keith Carter and several of those guys came over from Arkansas several years there that we were beating them pretty regular. So that was a good thing to say. I remember that.
Yeah. Whenever Rob Evans and Rod Barnes was coaching that period right there, Ole Miss just had like some kind of black magic over Arkansas at that point. It doesn't matter how good Arkansas was. Didn't matter how bad Ole Miss was. Ole Miss was going to win that game.
Yeah, they had a pipeline on recruiting back then. I'm not sure what it was. I never heard, but it was good because if Arkansas didn't want them or they didn't like Arkansas, they came right to us, and it was a good thing for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 years, I think, seemed like it. But I remember
Keith Carter, Anthony Boone, I think Jason Smith, actually, we just talked about him. All of those were Arkansas kids that just weren't recruited by Nolan Richardson in Arkansas, and basically they just put it on the Hogs.
Yeah, I still remember that team playing the NCAA tournament. It was a tough getting beat there that last game, that last shot.
Jason Harrison, Buck Flanagan.
Okay.
Yeah, all of those guys. Yeah.
It was good teams back then. I enjoyed watching them.
Anyway, thank you very much for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Tim Thomas joining the show every week during basketball season like he does. Next week, maybe we'll be talking about another win and perhaps a victory over Alabama. That'd be something else, wouldn't it?
That would be something else. It's possible, though. It's possible. Hoosiers, remember watching the movie Hoosiers, it's possible.
Yeah, they're going to run the picket fence. Don't get caught watching the paint dry.
Yeah, that's right. I hope they watch the paint.
All right, Tim. Appreciate it. You stopping by, and we'll talk to you later, buddy.
Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.